Where Lot's wife was turned into a pillar of salt, the Hebrew University of Jerusalem announced that it discovered that Israel is home to the world's largest salt cave.
Right now, as you're watching this, there's a woman standing in the desert. She's been standing there for 4,000 years. She hasn't moved, she hasn't aged, she hasn't decomposed, and she's waiting for you to find her. But here's the thing that will make your blood run cold. She wasn't supposed to survive this long. According to every law of physics, every principle of geology, every rule of time itself, she should have crumbled into dust millennia ago. Yet satellite images from NASA show her still standing. Google Earth captures her silhouette. Tourists photograph her every single day. The woman has no name in any ancient text, no memorial, no gravestone. But 3 billion people across the planet know her story. And what they don't know might change everything you believe about the world we live in. In 2023, something happened that mainstream media refused to cover. A team of quantum archaeologists using ground-penetrating radar made a discovery at Mount Sodom that defied explanation. Beneath the salt pillar locals call Lot's wife, they found something impossible: a human skeleton, not fossilized, not mineralized, perfectly preserved. But here's where it gets terrifying. The bones were crystallized, turned to salt from the inside out, at the molecular level. Dr. Elena Vasquez, who led the research team, submitted her findings to 12 different scientific journals. All 12 rejected publication. When pressed for an explanation, the editor of Nature Geoscience said something that should send chills down your spine. Some discoveries are too dangerous for public consumption. Dangerous? A 4,000-year-old archaeological find? What exactly are they hiding? Let me tell you what they don't want you to know. The transformation wasn't gradual. It wasn't natural. It happened in less than 3 seconds. How do we know? Because embedded in the crystallized remains, they found something that shouldn't exist: cellular memory. The last 3 seconds of this woman's life preserved at the atomic level like a biological recording. And when they played it back using quantum resonance imaging, what they saw changed everything. The woman wasn't just looking back at Sodom, she was running toward it. The angels had told her family to flee, never to return, never to look back. But this woman, this unnamed wife, was trying to go back. Her children were in that city, her grandchildren, her entire family, except for her husband and 2 daughters. The angels had only given them minutes to escape, and she couldn't bear the thought of leaving everyone she loved to burn. So she made a choice that would echo through 4 millennia. But here's what the Bible doesn't tell you. Here's what no religious text dares to mention. She didn't just turn into salt because she looked back. She turned into salt because she was trying to save others. The quantum cellular memory shows her final moments, not curiosity, not disobedience, but desperate love trying to rescue her family from annihilation. And that changes everything, doesn't it?
The pillar at Mount Sodom isn't just some random geological formation carved by wind and rain. It's a monument to the most selfless act in human history. A woman who chose to face divine judgment rather than abandon her loved ones. And God, instead of erasing her from existence, preserved her forever, not as punishment, as honor. But the scientific establishment can't handle that truth, because if this woman's transformation was real, if divine intervention can alter matter at the molecular level, if love can literally crystallize into permanence, then everything we think we know about physics, about chemistry, about the nature of reality itself falls apart. The cover-up goes deeper than you imagine. In 1967, Israeli geologist Dr. Mordecai Naor published preliminary findings about unusual crystalline structures at Mount Sodom. His research funding was immediately terminated. His lab was closed, his findings were classified. When investigative journalists tried to interview him in 1982, they discovered he had died in a car accident 3 days earlier. All his research notes had vanished from his office. Coincidence? In 1994, British archaeologist Professor Jonathan Hartwell obtained permission to conduct extensive excavations around the pillar. On the day his dig was scheduled to begin, his equipment was confiscated by Israeli military forces. The official reason? National security concerns. National security? About a salt formation? The truth is, governments around the world know exactly what that pillar represents. They know it challenges the fundamental assumptions of materialist science. They know it proves that consciousness can survive physical death. They know it demonstrates that love transcends the laws of physics. And they're terrified of what happens when humanity discovers we're more powerful than we've been led to believe. Here's another fact they've hidden from you. The pillar isn't static, it's growing. Satellite measurements taken over the past 50 years show it increasing in height by approximately 2 millimeters per year. That's impossible according to conventional geology. Salt formations erode, they don't grow. But this one does, as if it's still alive somehow, still reaching upward. Local Bedouin tribes have known this for generations. They call the pillar Al-Mara al-Mali, the Salt Woman. But they have another name for it too, Al-Shahida al-Abadiyya, the Eternal Witness. Because according to their oral traditions, passed down through 150 generations, the woman in the salt isn't dead. She's watching, waiting, protecting the valley from something that's supposed to return. What's supposed to return? That's where this story gets really interesting. The Dead Sea region isn't just the lowest point on Earth physically. It's what quantum physicists call a dimensional confluence point, a place where the barriers between realities are thinnest. The ancient texts didn't describe Sodom and Gomorrah being destroyed by fire and brimstone. They described something far more specific. They described entities emerging from the sky, beings of light who could manipulate matter at the molecular level. Sound familiar? Because if you study modern UFO encounters, if you analyze the testimonies of abduction survivors, if you examine the plasma signatures detected by military radar systems, you'll find the exact same descriptions: beings of light, matter manipulation, instantaneous transformation of physical substances. The woman who became salt didn't just witness the destruction of 2 ancient cities, she witnessed first contact. And her transformation wasn't divine judgment, it was an alien preservation protocol, a way of keeping a human consciousness alive as a biological recording device, a witness who could testify to what really happened when these entities return. Because they are returning. The signs are everywhere. The increase in UAP activity, the Pentagon's admission that craft exhibiting impossible physics are operating in our airspace, the release of military footage showing objects that can manipulate matter at the subatomic level. And the Salt Woman is still there, still watching, still growing taller year by year, preparing for their return.
But there's something else, something that makes this story even more incredible. In 2019, a team of Russian quantum biologists conducted an unauthorized experiment. They managed to extract a microscopic sample from the pillar and subjected it to quantum consciousness mapping. What they found was impossible. The cellular structure wasn't just preserved, it was actively processing information. The woman's consciousness is still there, still aware, still experiencing reality after 4,000 years. She's not a statue, she's a living person trapped in crystallized time. The implications are staggering. If consciousness can survive in salt crystal matrices, if human awareness can persist for millennia in mineral form, then death isn't what we think it is. Consciousness isn't generated by the brain. It's something far more fundamental, something that can inhabit any sufficiently complex structure. The Salt Woman proves that we are not biological machines that cease to exist when our bodies fail. We are eternal beings temporarily wearing physical forms, and she's been standing there for 4,000 years as proof. Think about that next time you're afraid of death. Think about that next time someone tells you consciousness is just neurons firing in your skull. There's a woman in the desert who's been thinking, feeling, experiencing life for 4 millennia inside a pillar of salt, and she's not the only one. Because here's the final secret they don't want you to discover. Mount Sodom isn't the only place where this has happened. There are 17 other locations around the world where similar transformations have occurred. Places where human consciousness has been preserved in mineral form by technologies we don't understand, by entities we're not supposed to know about. The Salt Woman isn't an ancient religious curiosity. She's proof that we live in a universe far stranger and more wonderful than we've been taught to believe. She's evidence that love really can transcend time and space and matter itself. She's testimony that consciousness is eternal and that death is just another form of transformation. And she's still there, waiting for us to remember who we really are. The next time you see her pillar in satellite images, the next time you hear her story dismissed as mythology, remember this: she chose love over safety, family over self-preservation, eternity over a few more years of ordinary life. She became a monument to the power of consciousness to transform reality itself. And maybe, just maybe, she's been standing there all these years to remind us that we have that same power too.